Hi everybody. I'm going to be responding to the discussion prompts about the documentary for this week. So one of the first things was, how does this transform your thoughts and beliefs about the experiences of individuals with disabilities? Me personally, I didn't find this documentary transformative at all, but the reason for that is because I have an extensive background working with individuals with disabilities in various states of transition. Children with disabilities transitioning into group homes, individuals in group homes transitioning to independent lifestyles. I've pretty much seen all stages of it at this point. When I lived and worked in Carlsbad, I worked for a company where that was a primary goal, along with providing these individuals places where they could work, places where they could basically interact with their peers, and still have that community support that is so important for them to live these independent lifestyles. One of the things that I did take away, though, and this is something I've held for a long time, is that just because a person can't communicate in the way that you do does not make them incompetent, does not mean that they cannot communicate. Watching the video, if you have never been around individuals with disabilities, it almost would seem like some of those questioners were kind of prompting the individuals, and that's not really the case. A lot of times, they may not be able to respond in the way that you would respond, but that doesn't mean that they can't respond. It just means that they are different. And different doesn't mean incompetent, it just means different. And that's something that's very important to learn, especially if you plan to work with individuals with disabilities. It's important to prepare individuals with disabilities for post-school transitions, and this question is actually a little loaded because I feel that you can apply it to anyone, not just individuals with disabilities, because the whole point of post-school preparation is getting ready for a life outside of school. If you are someone who went from high school to college and then out into the real world and you never had any time in between, you may have never worked a job, you may have never paid rent, you may have never had any concerns outside of what your family and schools had already taken care of for you. And to have all of those things suddenly hit you at once, basically a person who is unprepared is automatically going to be in an unfair disadvantage in life. So the more you are prepared ahead of time, the better off you'll be. And it doesn't matter whether or not you're disabled, that pretty much goes for everyone. It's important to create partnerships with parents when planning for post-school transitions, and this also can apply for every set of individuals, but specifically to those who are disabled, partnerships are important because regardless of the individual, those closest to the client are often going to be the most immediate support for them. Parents support their children. Sometimes it's not a parent, sometimes it's a sibling, sometimes it's a close friend. In a few instances, you will find cases where the parents or the close representatives do not support the individual in question, and that can be tricky, but that's really not an issue of concern for this particular question. However, with an attention to legal details, especially from the point of view of someone who may have been a case manager, someone who works with these individuals, someone who is trying to help them achieve their independence, working with the parents is often going to be your best bet because in many cases the parents are also the legal representative for the adult child, the adult individual, excuse me. So let's say you work for an institution that wants to help these people become independent. If you are working in tandem with their legal representation who just happens to be their parent, as long as everyone is coming to the table with the best interests of the individual in mind, everything is going to work a lot better than if you have one set of goals and parents have a different set of goals. And really, again, it's in the best interest for everyone to work together. Because if you're not working together, you're not helping them. You're not even helping yourself. Thank you and have a good night.